Hey everybody, we're back. Welcome back to the Trading Post. You know, this is me, Fred, and here's the start of show Noodle. Yeah, we're ready to talk about Fred Files Episode 6. And this is going to be Mel's Hole. And I'm going to add the original audio from Coast to Coast AM, where they had the original interview with Mel Waters. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. We're going to go ahead and do our little spiel here. We're going to talk about the situation, then we'll go into the audio. This may be several episodes long because they have different recordings, and one of them is really, really long. So I think it's like the whole section together, but I got to sort through that first. So you guys hang in tight there, and we're going to be right with you. All right? You guys hang tight. Hey everybody, sorry on my prior one I said this was episode 6. I'm sorry, this is Fred Files episode 7. Anyways, this is Mel's Hole, Fred Files episode 7. And we're going to go ahead and jump into this. I'm going to brush up on this a little bit. And we're going to have the audio from Art Bell and Mel Waters talking about Mel's Hole. So, let's get into it, shall we? Alright, Mel's Hole is, according to an urban legend, a bottomless pit near Ellensburg, Washington. Claims about it were made on the radio show Coast to Coast AM in 1997 by a guest calling himself Mel Waters. Later investigation revealed no such person was listed as residing in that area, and no credible evidence has been given that the hole ever existed. Okay, now we're going to go to the claims. The legend of the bottomless pit, or the bottomless hole, started on February 21st, 1997, when a man identifying himself as Mel Waters appeared as a guest on Coast to Coast AM, as said prior, with Art Bell. Waters claimed that he owned rural property 9 miles or 14 kilometers west of Ellensburg in Cottitas County, Washington, that contained a mysterious hole. According to Waters, the hole had an unknown depth. He claimed to have measured its depth using fishing line and a weight, although he still had not hit bottom by the time 80,000 feet or 24,000 meters of line had been used. That's a lot of line, you guys. He also claimed that his neighbor's dead dog had been seen alive sometime after it was thrown into the hole. Now, why the hell you throw a dead dog down a hole? Instead of just bury it. I don't understand that, but whatever. Everybody's got their own way of doing things, I guess. But that's freaky, huh? A little paranormal, wouldn't you say? If they seen the same dog, I mean, the guy that owned the dog knew it was dead and sees it later on, yeah, that'd probably put the hair on the back of your neck up in the air. Okay, but anyways, according to Waters, the hole's magical paranormal properties prompted U.S. federal agents to seize the land and fund his relocation to Australia. Waters made guest appearances on Bell's show in 97, February 21st and 24th, 2000 and 2002, and rebroadcasts of those appearances have helped create what has been described as a modern rural myth. The exact location of the hole was unspecified, yet several people claimed to have seen it, such as Gerald R. Osborne, who used the ceremonial name Red Elk, who described himself as an intertribal medicine man, half-breed Native American white, and who told reporters in 2012 he visited the hole many times since 1961 and claimed the U.S. government maintained a top-secret base there, where alien activity occurs. Wow. We're not going down a rabbit hole. We're going down Mel's Hole, ain't we? It's getting deep. Anyways, in 2002, a group of 30 people led by Gerald Osborne undertook an expedition to find the hole, but were unable to locate it. According to State Department of Natural Resources geologist Jack Powell, the hole does not exist and is geologically impossible. A hole of depth claimed that depth would collapse itself under the tremendous pressure and heat from the surrounding strata, said Powell. Powell said an ordinary old mine shaft on private property was probably the inspiration for the stories. and commented that Mel's Hole had established itself as a legend based on no evidence at all. Geologist Pat Pringle doubted Waters' story about having lowered 80,000 feet of fishing line into a hole, saying that the heat of the earth would have snapped it before it could reach such a depth. Local news reporters who investigated the claims found no public records of anyone named Mel Waters ever residing in or owning property in Cottitas County or Manstash. Then they also talked about there's another mystery hole in Colville, Washington, which if you've seen other people that have done videos on this, like Mr. Ballin, Y-Files, they're awesome. They do great jobs on this stuff. Hopefully one day I'll get as good as they are, but that's, if not, that's it. I'm just going to be me, do my thing. But they did say that Mel Waters, supposedly, he did go to that other hole. Can't think of the name of the tribe, the people. There's a particular name for them. I'm sure it's on the recordings once we hear them. You'll hear the whole story. But he went to that other one, and they had lowered I think it was a sheep down the hole, and they got so far down that hole, and they had it there for a little while. They brought it back up, and supposedly they called it a something seal. It was a something seal, but it was like a seal, but it had human eyes, like big human eyes watching it, and it was there. And then it kept like trying to work its way. Like I guess Mel Waters said he touched it or something. Now, after this encounter, because that seal thing, it crawled back and went back down the hole. But I think he said it was like I don't know, telepathic. He had the feeling it wasn't going to hurt him. That's why he touched it. Anyways, after that, I guess because he was sick, I think he had cancer or something. He had, and after touching that creature, supposedly it went away. His health ailments was gone. Now, how much you want to believe of this story is up to you. I mean, hey, find your own truth, like we always say on this show, and that's what we're going to do. We come to our own conclusions. There's no judgment here on this channel, okay? As much as you want to think, yeah, that's outlandish, it's crazy, well, hey, that's your opinion. You're entitled to that. No one's going to judge you for it, not on this channel. But I think there is so much stuff in this world that we just don't understand. Our minds are too feeble to wrap around certain things. I mean, we discuss and we talk about, wormholes and like this pit, could it be a multi-dimensional hole where, they're talking about throwing shit down this hole for generations. That's what brought this all on. He was wondering why in the hell this hole should be filling up. I mean, you're talking people throwing freaking refrigerators and shit down it. Who knows, old tires, whatever junk, before he ever, started living on the property. And everyone around there said that as long as they know, that hole's been there, and everybody's throwing their stuff in it. So explain to me how the hell that's not getting filled up. If they've done this for generations, okay, and you want to expect it to be like a normal, if it's like a normal hole that's, say it's 100 feet deep. Okay, 100 feet, that's deep, right? Well, if you're throwing shit down it for 3 generations, and not just you, everybody in the area is doing this, throwing stuff down this hole. You think that damn thing's gonna get filled? It'd be filled within 3 generations or close to it. You'd at least be able to see the stuff starting to rise up in the hole. So. But that's my take on it. That's what I think about that. But I mean, this guy, he was evidently a shark fisherman, and he had that line, and he said, well, he wanted to check it out. So evidently, I guess he strung up like a he made a makeshift kind of like a tripod type deal, like a plumb bob. So like you got your hole here, you probably got your uprights, 3 or 4 of them, and then he strung his fishing line down through it straight to the center of the hole, so it wouldn't hit the edges of the hole and just kind of, you know. So he did that, and he had a weight on it supposedly. At one time, he said he put, I believe it was a roll of lifesavers. He put a roll of lifesavers on that thing, so that way, when it gets down, and if there's water at the bottom, those lifesavers they're gonna deteriorate, they're gonna disintegrate. So when he pulls it back up and there's no lifesavers on it, that's a good indicator that there's water down there. Which is pretty smart on his part. I mean, I'm a dumb hillbilly. I wouldn't have thought of that problem. Who knows? Maybe I would have. I don't know. But I think, you know, from me listening to these recordings, these videos and stuff of him, I think he sounded like he was a pretty well-rounded individual. He didn't sound like he was just off his rocker. So therefore, you know, I mean, and not only, here's another thing. I'm sorry I'm going off on a tangent. This damn ADHD kicks me in the ass. It is what it is. But anyhow, they was saying like how he was saying about the military, literally like they claimed his property, you know, whatever. And you know, basically from what they were saying, they kind of in a way like threatened him, hey, you know, well, you know, you could have you could end up having an illegal still out here, or illegal, you know, marijuana stuff, and we can basically they can just throw his ass in jail, you know, pulling that card, you know, trying to flex their authority. And we all know that they do that. It happens, you know. I'm sure it's. I've never run into it personally because I'm a nobody. I'm just another Joe Schmo, dumb hillbilly running around. But he, you know, and not only did he say that there was military there. His neighbor, there was a neighbor that was on there, and he said, "You don't want to go up there. Anybody that tries to even go up there or even tries to get close, you're in a whole world of problems." And that's legitly straight from his neighbor's mouth on an interview that I've seen. I wish the heck I could remember what it was from. I'd put it on here as well. But I mean, and that guy, he was an older fellow. He was probably, I'd say he was in his 60s anyways, or so, maybe. And I couldn't see that guy, you know, being the type to just kind of church things up a little bit, dressing it up. He sounded pretty authentic, and you could tell that you can hear the worry and concern in his voice when he said it, because he knows they're not playing around. Anyways, sorry for my rambling on and my craziness. We'll go ahead and get to this. I'm going to go ahead and put the audios on here. You guys can listen to them. And now this is probably going to have to extend out. I'm telling you guys, there's a lot. The one video, my God, the one audio is like 3 hours long. I think that's like all of them compiled together. And then I got other ones that's separate. So I got to sort through those, and I'm going to try to get it to where I'm going to try to make this in manageable packets, like each episode, so each part of the episode. So anyways, you guys hang in there, enjoy yourself. Oh, by the way, you guys like my new shirt? Check that out, man. Yep, that's right. We always have leftover parts, don't we? We just made it better. Anyways, hang on. We'll go ahead and get that audio on here for you. All right.
Discontinuity.
The what?
The MOHO, M-O-H-O, discontinuity.
What is that?
It's named for a guy named Mohorovic. He was a Croatian seismologist. But I don't know much about seismology, but I'll tell you what I know about this discontinuity. P waves, and I guess those are seismic waves,
Yeah.
through this discontinuity move faster than they do through the rest of the Earth. They like speed up.
Okay.
Normally they go like 7 kilometers per second. These are going like 8 kilometers per second when they go through there. And it's believed that it has to do with a chemical difference in the type in that area of the Earth. So you've got the crust, you have the MOHO discontinuity, then you have the mantle. And so that region is very, very little known, as you can well imagine, because you really can't get to it, at least not yet. And the scientists really don't understand that. But we have this thing that goes on underneath the crust that is very, very peculiar. And I just thought I might mention that there.
All right. Well, I don't know anything about that. That's very interesting. All I know is we had all kinds of cool plans. I mean, we were going to... I had... Mel, I'm telling you, I've got volunteers who are willing to go down in your hole, but now that's obviously not going to occur because they have your hole. I mean, this is outrageous. This is your property.
Yeah, it is my property. That's the incredible thing. I could not step 1 inch onto my property. You know, my deepest incursion only got me onto the access road. I mean, I was kept way away from that thing there.
How far is it from the access road where you were stopped to the hole?
Oh, gosh, you'd have to travel, I would say it's from the access road it's very hilly ground over there, so you kind of have to go around all the low spots there. You might go about 1.5 miles or more. You can't even see the little, valley that I'm in.
Before you began dropping this monofilament line into the hole with a weight, you threw an entire refrigerator down this hole and then listened and listened and listened and never heard a thing?
Nothing. Again, the refrigerator, I didn't hear anything. I mean, I expected, something that massive. And that I expected something. But, I've thrown things there that I knew would make interesting sounds, like television tubes, picture tubes.
Yeah, they explode.
Yeah, those are my favorite. And, no, I couldn't get an explosion, or anything out of them. So I have not heard anything actually touch bottom in that thing.
I mean, it's almost impossible, it seems. If the hole right now, I don't know, is 15, 16, 17 miles, how long would it take for the sound to travel back, if it is hitting bottom? Let's say it's hitting bottom at, say, 15 miles. How long would it take? Or would I hear it at all? Those are things, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, you don't hear things that occur. Well, on the other hand, though, it's a channeled...
It sure is.
I don't know the physics involved in such a deep hole. Have you ever heard of any other holes?
No. That's why I was curious about the Colville hole. I did find out that actually the deepest mine is like 2.3 miles into the earth.
So this is way, way beyond anything that anybody's ever heard about.
But that's a mine. That's a mine structure. Another thing I was curious about was that channel that they built underneath the English Channel between England and France. How deep is not how deep it is, but how long is it? Is it several miles or?
I almost rode on it. It's funny you should mention. I almost rode on it last time I was in London, but I didn't. So I don't exactly know. I saw the entrance to it. I rode right by the entrance to it.
I would be leery of going into that thing.
Well, then you certainly wouldn't want to go in. Would you go in this hole? Your hole, if you could?
I anticipate what will be going down into the hole in the future will be federal prisoners, I imagine. We'll be going down there on a non-voluntary basis, I assume, because, if we're talking the government here, which it is obviously the government that's interested in this, they have every piece of technology they could ever want. They could send down cameras, they could send down whatever they wanted, I assume at some point if they determined that was safe for a human being to go down, they'll send a person down, when they take air readings, if it's got good air, bad air, find out what's going on. I'd say that they would do that. I'm just like a poor ordinary little guy here who doesn't have a lot of technology as back.
Well, how would you like to get a whole bunch of citizens together, Mel, and go marching on that property and challenge their authority to take your property like that?
Well, we talked about that over coffee with the guy that told me about the stones out there. Saying we're pretty we're big on property rights here.
Yeah, this is your hole, not theirs.
And we're, very, very militant about that. And they say, how can they do that here? The truth is, if they say a plane crashed on property,
yeah,
and I don't have any evidence of that, but I expect to see some smoke. But if they're telling people this is an accident scene, we got to do an investigation, FAA and all that business there. And
all right, did they tell you what kind of airplane, civilian, military, or what?
No.
All right. Well, are there any reports? After all, you can check on plane crashes, right?
First of all, over here, if a kid throws a snowball at your car, in the wintertime, that makes the newspaper. So there
should have been big news if a plane went down there.
Oh, you bet. We've had planes go down here before. We've had planes go down, on the other side of the mountains and makes newspaper here. That's a big deal here.
All right, well, look. Then instead of a crowd of civilians, maybe that was a bad idea. How about a crowd of media? I could get Seattle media by your side and go marching right up to that group. Right up to the barrier.
Yeah, and then I end up being a convicted drug cooker. I am,
They actually said that to you.
Those were almost verbatim the exact words they said. We could find a drug lab on this property if you get my drift. Just very easily.
All right. Mel, let's take a few calls, see if anybody has any ideas. This one has me stumped. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Mel. Hello. Hello there.
Yes. This is Robert in Milwaukee.
Hi, Robert.
Art, I just had a thought connecting Stephen Greer at CSETI with what he said concerning interplanetary travel. And drew a connection to the cloning. I find it very interesting that the scientists say they're not going to consider cloning humans.
Oh, baloney! That's a bunch of crap. Don't listen to that. Excuse me for a second, Mel. On the subject of cloning, all day I've been listening to this drivel from the scientists about the cloning thing. That we're not going to do it. Oh well, yes, this technology will allow cloning, but we're not going to do it. That is utter garbage, and when we get around to talking about cloning, which we will, we're going to talk about it in an entirely different vein, because unless you are naive beyond belief, spending your time talking about whether we should or shouldn't, will or won't, is baloney, because we will. I guess you can say, should we? But we will, I guarantee we're going to clone. Anyway, that is not tonight's subject or the moment's subject. Mel's hole is first-time caller line, you're on the air.
Hey, Mel?
Yeah, hi there.
Hi there.
Where are you, sir?
I'm in Oregon. My name's Pete.
All right, Pete.
Okay.
Where in Oregon are you?
In Corvallis.
Corvallis, okay, I know what that is, sure.
Okay, yeah, I was listening to the show, and I guess it's a delayed broadcast out here. I was listening to earlier stuff.
No, this is about Mel's hole.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, sir.
And, I would just say to Mel that you need to get in contact with just about every media person that you can think of and get them out there.
He's done that with me, and I agree with you. I just said to Mel that he should take, like an army of cameras out there. But
yeah, exactly.
He's afraid that he's going to end up in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's got a point.
Well,
suppose the army of cameras with Mel in tow arrive, and there's feds there saying, "Sorry, this is a crime scene." Is this Mel Waters? Well, you're under arrest, Mel.
Well, I have to tell you that as far as what I believe is now that the surface of the hole there has been, there's a lot of snow on the property, has been covered up with snow. Mm-hmm. I think that's what the yellow gear was there for, is to groom it all, so you can't see it from the air.
Well, I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered.
And
if the military's out there, if there was a plane crash, I think the media would want to know what kind of plane it was, who was flying it.
Well, you see, the thing is, I'm the one that's saying that there was a plane crash.
Yeah, Mel, I'll tell you something. And for what it's worth, if it was a civilian airplane that crashed, that would be in the news. Mm-hmm. If it was a regular military airplane that crashed, that would be in the news. But there are some type of aircraft that crash, Mel, that, believe me, it does not make the news. We have them out here. They crash, and you see the military cordon off miles of area, and there's no news about it at all. You know, this secret aircraft that fly and crash. But I don't think that's what happened there, and neither do you. Do you?
No, I don't believe that anything crashed there because I didn't have the smell of the smoke. I didn't see any smoke. It was a beautiful clear day. I mean, if there was any, and it wasn't particularly windy. If there was a crash, to be evidence of it, to be smoke clouds.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I would be very cautious, Mel, about accepting a generous offer for the property with a hole, because you know what? No matter what else, Mel, your hole is worth millions of dollars if it's what you say it is. If it's as deep as you say it is, man, you could fence a property and sell tickets.
Well, I think I also mentioned that they actually moved onto the property several mobile, one of those like temporary buildings.
Oh.
Actually moved that onto the property.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the neighbors says he saw almost like a parade of these things going out there, like 3-4 of them, plus some generator equipment there too.
Oh, God.
All that stuff.
How long after the broadcast did this parade begin?
Well, it was Saturday night. I was out there pretty late.
And we did the broadcast between, I think, 3 and 4 o'clock Pacific time Saturday morning.
Yeah, so I got some sleep, and I went out there, in the evening and did my weighing of the line in the hole, and that's when I saw the first helicopter out there, and that was a very strange experience. I actually looked up at this thing here for about 20 minutes. There were more helicopters out there Saturday morning early, several of them coming in and out. That was Saturday morning. That was Sunday morning, and then by today, the chronology is getting real confusing for me. But
now, yesterday, I guess, really.
Yeah. I lost a day in here, right? What they saw is actually some mobile buildings being moved onto the property. Apparently, some generators there. Again, I have no power or phone on the property. There, we use cell phone if we need to make a call, and we used to use solar out there too.
Well, I feel in a way guilty, Mel, but your original facts got me going, and there was no way not to follow up on that. And I guess once we aired that, it was too late. It was a done deal.
Well, when I originally approached this thing here, what I wanted to do was to get some good ideas about the nature of this thing here. I guess I was pretty naive about it.
All right, Mel, one thing I've got to ask you.
Yeah.
Don't think me rude, but I've got to ask, Mel.
Yeah.
That's not a drug lab you've got out there, is it?
No. We are working with Native American plants. They're plants that Native Americans used in making this was a Northern Nevada doctor back in World War I time who found the cure for the flu. He gave this stuff to his. He was a military doctor. He gave it to the people under his command.
All right, Mel, hold on. We're going to do a break here at the top of the hour. We'll be back to you. Mel Waters, the guy with the endless hole, is my guest. We will start taking some calls. Anybody have any advice for Mel or thoughts on all of this? Yikes. CBC in action. All right, back now to Mel and the dilemma of the endless hole. Mel, are you there?
I am here, Art.
All right, there are some people with questions. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Just that, just after beginning to explore this thing here, with the help of your audience and, further questioning on, people, that live around in my area here, asking them, really, do you remember anything strange about the hole in particular?
Well, I would say a resurrected dog would be pretty good.
I would. It just becomes more and more mysterious. I have no way of understanding any of it.
I would say a darker than dark beam that seems to go straight up into the sky would be pretty strange.
That to me was utterly fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like, the hole itself is dark, but for it to send out darkness into the sky to me was just absolutely
I couldn't begin to explain it.
I mean, it was the way he described it. It was just.
All right. Look, let's bring some people on. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Mel. Hello, where are you?
This is Philip in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Hello, Philip. How you doing?
Great. Love your show.
Thank you.
Mel, what type of work do you do for a living?
Well, I'm a retired person.
You have no criminal record of any kind?
Pardon me?
No criminal record or anything?
No criminal record.
I'd find me a lawyer and get a local group of citizens and press and militia, and that's a good reason why we need the militias in this country, is to prevent this type of situation from happening. The government coming in, taking over your property, threatening your life. I would call their bluff. I don't see how they can.
Well, that's easy to say, from a distance. I'm not sure I'd call their bluff. I've got to be honest. Look, if you had a property, sir, and you're trying to get on it, and they had it all roped off, and they said go away, we could.
I would come back with a gun.
Well,
and they haul in a bunch of.
Then
trailers.
you know what you'd be? You'd be a dead martyr. You take a gun up to a military.
I'd have the press with me, and I would not go at this alone.
Oh, I see.
But they're not going to drag in a bunch of military trailers to examine a drug lab.
Well,
that's just not.
I agree.
Logical.
I agree with you. So they're obviously after the secret of the hole. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Mel. Hello.
Hi, this is Stan from San Diego.
Hi, Stan.
I just got a question there for Mel. If there was any way that you could charter a plane so you can do a flyover of your property.
I suppose I could do that. There is a small airport here in Ellensburg, and I'm sure that can be arranged for. Well, what I'd be interested to know is if actually planes can fly over that area, and I suppose I could try to find that out.
To get some photographs.
Yeah, but again, I do believe that the hole itself has been covered over with the surrounding snow. They probably did a really nice job with what they brought in there of keeping it invisible from the air. That was my speculation on why they brought the yellow gear out, as to kind of dress it up a little bit there so that anyone casually going over there wouldn't notice anything. That's just my opinion.
Okay, and another thing is I got a little assumption of why none of the animals want to go by there.
Why?
Maybe they see the apparition of the dead dog, and it's warning them not to go there.
Maybe. That's pure conjecture. Who knows? But no animals will go near it.
The observations I made was my dogs and other people's dogs, that come visit. They won't go there. If I put them on a leash and try to drag them there, they'll dig their feet in there, and they just will not budge.
You know what, Mel? I once was on a trip with my family going to. We used to go to Florida, drive to Florida in the winter, and we once got near a slaughterhouse, and on one of our stops. And man, I had a golden retriever, and that golden wouldn't get anywhere. He did the same thing. He dug his feet in, and I don't care how you'd pull, he wouldn't get any. He could smell the death.
Well, when I was in college, I had brought from school a human skull, and I brought it home, put it on the coffee table. My cat walked into the room, and he saw that thing, and the cat literally jumped backwards about 8 feet.
I bet.
When he saw that. Now, how did the cat know?
They sense these things.
Yeah.
There's something about it. First time caller line, you're on the air with Mel. Hello.
Hey, Art, this is Scott from Kirkland, Washington.
Yes, sir. Oh,
hi, Scott in Washington.
Yeah, not only from Kirkland, I've only been over on my side of the mountains for a little while, but born and bred in Yakima and a graduate of Central Washington University.
Cool.
Spent a lot of time in Ellensburg.
Yes.
In fact, I sat around with one of my old professors who is one of these guys who has been living in the area for, forever. And he actually had told me rumors one morning over coffee, sitting down in one of the little restaurants about a great big hole that nobody knew the bottom of.
Wow.
We'd actually heard of this. This was back, 1990, 1989?
Mm-hmm.
Sometime about in there, and we even heard that. And the one thing, it really surprises me, this guy that was saying, well, I took a gun in the media up there. What a lot of people don't realize, Art, and I think that most people don't realize, is he lives about, depending on where the hole is, between 5 and 10 miles away from one of the largest military reservations in the Pacific Northwest, possibly the western United States.
It is humongous out there.
The Yakima Firing Center is where they did all of the training for Desert Storm. They have a bunch of satellite dishes up there that theoretically don't exist, that they use for talking to satellites that aren't there, and all sorts of things, very interesting things go on up there. And so something like this, a hole appearing within spitting distance of this military reservation, it doesn't really surprise me a whole lot that they had trucks and stuff out there in a lightning bulb.
Hey, Mel, do we know how long that hole has actually been there? I mean,
I can probably trace this hole back, from, actual recollections, to for a solid 40 years before I got there, and the previous owner said it was there the next owner back. Before that, I don't know if anyone owned the property. I suppose I could check on that to see, from the records there, if there's been any, ownership of it, or was, whatever. But I can trace it back for a good solid 40 years, at least, from the verbatim accounts from the previous owner. Again, I don't really know. I would venture to say that given the nature of it, that it's been there for a very, very long time. I'm talking, not just decades there. I mean, how can this thing just be there? It has to be ancient.
Well, I wish you the best in figuring out what it is, and we're all of us local here, we're going to keep tuned in to see if there's anything worth driving back across the mountains to hang out and see.
Well, I've just been out here for just a couple of years. I decided to retire out here and pursue, my interest in alternative health, and this is what I get.
All right. Well, it's turned into a nightmare.
Yes.
An absolute nightmare. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Mel. Hello.
Yeah, about that hole.
Yes, sir.
There was a Rod Sterling thing I saw on the TNT, I think, about 4 years ago. He was hosting it. It was like, must have been early 80s, late 70s. And there were reenactments of, like, these true occurrences.
Yeah.
And there was a whole story about a boy. It looked like it took place in, like, when they still rode horses or something. And a boy woke up with his dog missing or something. And he went looking for his dog and fell into a hole, except, he didn't fall in. He hung onto the edge and crawled out. And went and told his dad, and his dad went out there, and they heard noises coming out of it.
Oh, God.
And so they didn't think it was the dog making the noises because it sounded real spooky and stuff. So he went to town and got a bunch of guys to go out there with him, and I guess a bunch of guys went out there, and they thought, well, let's lower a rope in, and somebody's going to have to go down on it.
Sure.
And so the dad said, well, I'll do it since, you're looking for your dog and stuff. And they lowered him down, and he made this scream, deadly scream. And so they brought him up, and I guess after they brought him up, he went clinically insane for the rest of his life.
All right. Well, I hope you're not in any danger of going clinically insane, Mel.
I hope not.
But you sounded close to being discombobulated when I spoke with you. When was that? That was
Sunday afternoon, I think.
Was that Sunday afternoon?
So Sunday evening, something like that.
Yeah,
I was.
I mean, you called me up and you were just a wreck.
Yeah, I was. Any negative, fearful emotion, I had it there. I mean, I was shaking. I was sweating. I was. My body was doing things that I couldn't explain. I was a wreck.
What do you think about the idea of you're not even going out, but sending the media out?
I could do that as in terms of saying I think there's something interesting going on over there, and send them out there, and what I assume that'll happen is if they did go, if they thought it was a valid story, they'll say, look, we're conducting military exercises on this land here, and there's nothing for you to see, and I think that'll be it. Again, this guy was real clear to me. He said, look, I asked him, I said, look, I suppose you don't want me to talk to anybody about this. And he said, hey, no one's going to believe you anyway. You know, you could tell them anything you want. You know, you know, why are they going to believe you?
All right. Well, you know, first time caller line. You're on the air with Mel. Hello.
Hello there.
Hi.
Maxine in Southern California.
Hi, Maxine.
I am very interested in the conversation that's been going on with Mel. I heard the program the other night, and, you know, he's really in a big dilemma.
Well, he is now. And I feel somewhat responsible. But,
yeah, I understand that. You know, the first thing he needs to do is get a good lawyer, somebody that's prominent like that, I can't recall his name, Spence from Wyoming. That's
Jerry Spence.
Jerry Spence, somebody like that. And maybe your listeners could do a writing to Janet Reno, the president or the vice president, on his behalf. Keep him in the background, because with the power they've got, you know, they can just wrap him up and we might never hear from him again.
Yeah, that's right. I guess I'm going to have to stay in touch with you, Mel, to be sure that you don't meet some...
Well, you know, they're working me from both sides here, as far as I can tell.
What it sounds like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like I guess it's like The Godfather. They want to make me an offer I can't refuse.
You know, there's a lot of armchair soldiers out there, Mel, and they're going to say, what's the matter with you? You've got to get in there and fight. Tell them to go to hell. But the fact of the matter is, if I were in your situation, I might be very disinclined to fight. I might be much more inclined to take a, quote, generous offer and get out from under while I can.
If I get to, you know, if I actually get to talk to somebody in a position of authority who wants to sit down and talk turkey, and I'm not talking about my real estate agent, I'm gonna ask for like a relocation to another country is what I'm gonna do.
You want to be sent out of the country?
Yeah, I'd like to be sent to like Australia, for instance. You know, like where what Standeo is. You know,
be an expatriate.
So yeah, some place that's geologically sound. You know.
Yeah, okay. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Mel, who's still an American at this moment.
Hi, my name's Brad. I'm calling from Lexington, Kentucky.
Hi, Brad.
Hi. When I heard about this hole, it kind of reminded me of the story with the hole they dug. I think it was in Europe or Scandinavia.
Scandinavia.
Yeah, they lowered a microphone.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. That was an Associated Press story, and they lowered a microphone in, and they heard the screaming, agonized sounds of thousands of people in agony, they said. That was an actual AP story. Now, it may have turned out to have been not true, but AP ran that story.
So, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the entrance to hell. I don't know.
There isn't even an echo that comes out of this. I mean, you don't even hear anything.
And plus, and as far as the animals not wanting to go near it, you know.
There is that, but he says there's not a sound. I mean, it's totally dead, right, Mel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, unless you hit the side of the thing there, when you drop something in and it's like close to the surface, you know, you hear it there. But after a certain point, you wouldn't hear anything anyway.
Now, when you dropped a refrigerator in, I'm curious how you can drop a refrigerator. Now, 9 feet 9 inches, pretty good size diameter. Oh, yeah. But how do you get the fridge in the middle to drop it so that you don't slam it into the sides?
Well, you get like one of your buddies over there, and you get it over there on its, you know, so it's like leaning over on its back, and you slide it over on the stone wall, and then just kind of give it a shove, and it just sort of goes straight down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not too difficult. I mean, we've been throwing stuff in it, you know, that hole of all sorts of descriptions here, and believe me, you know, we've done it. I mean, you know, it's you know, a cow is a pretty big thing, but people have gotten cows down in there, so you can just about throw anything down.
Actually,
there.
Almost disgusting.
Yes.
In fact, the bottom of the hole, if there is a bottom to the damn thing, must be truly disgusting, a mixture of horrible things of earth that should not have been thrown in there. Mel, can you hold on?
Oh, yeah, I'll be
All right, well, we'll do one more.
Tonight on Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. It's an encore presentation featuring the best of Art Bell and his guest, Mel Waters, with the story of Mel's Hole, the bottomless pit in Washington State. Art will be back live tomorrow night with his guest, best-selling author Dean Koontz.
It absolutely is. Good morning, everybody. Mel is my guest. She's got a hole. Mel's hole, we call it. And now let's go back and give him a little challenge, all right? Mel, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. I've got a couple of faxes here that are not kind, Mel. They say this man is lying. His voice is shaking so much. He's stuttering. He's searching for words. He's in a bind because you're paying attention to his fable, made-up story they're saying. And you have to come up with something that would keep you from finding out about his lie. So here's another one that says, Mel's hoax. Art, you've fallen for another one. Well, I am a little naive, and I like stories like yours, Mel, and so I do tend to go for them. Do you swear that this is absolutely the truth?
Well, look, I would have rather not have talked or called or faxed or anything in regards to this subject at all.
Yeah, the people need to understand. You faxed me, but I'm the one who called you.
I would have preferred, to be honest with you, to be there tomorrow morning, letting a little more line down into the hole, and just going along my merry way.
And then getting you on the air stopped all that, and plus put the idiots there that are there taking hold of your...
When you have a situation about belief and what do you believe in and what you don't believe in, a couple of days ago, we had this guy shoot a bunch of people on the Empire State Building.
That's right.
The Empire State Building's been there for like 60 years or whatever. And today I heard that they put metal detectors in the Empire State Building.
It figures.
Now, for 60 years, people believed that the Empire State Building was a safe place to be. That was belief. And in one day, people no longer believe. So beliefs change.
Yeah.
And that's how I view beliefs. Is should they've had a metal detector on it for 60 years?
All right, look, let me ask you this. You have neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
They know about the hole.
They've been there. They've put their trash in it.
They put their trash in it. Would any of your neighbors talk, or do you think they're scared now too?
I'd be happy to talk to them and see if they want to talk to you.
All right.
And I'd be happy if they want to talk. I'll fax you a phone number.
That's great, Mel. Work on that one. That's at least one other angle to approach this with. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Mel. Where are you, please?
I'm in Cameron, Texas.
All right.
Gentlemen, how wide is that hole?
It's 9 3/4 feet.
9 3/4 feet.
9 feet.
That's
9
the diameter.
9 feet 9 inches in diameter, he said.
Okay, Mel. To the library, why don't you go tomorrow, and they can network books all over the United States. And there's one called The Phantom of the Poles by William Reed. And there's one called The Hollow Earth by Dr. Raymond Bernard.
Okay.
And I'll guarantee you that'll open your eyes, because the Earth is hollow. They've never proved the Earth is solid. And at the poles, it's totally a hole, and it's about 1,400 miles wide. And people can't see across it, and they don't realize they're going into the Earth. But Admiral Byrd flew 1,700 miles inside the Earth, and they shut it up. So the government's up to something here.
All right. As a matter of fact, here's a fax, Mel, saying, regarding the hole, it sounds to me like the government's going to take the hole and give Mel the shaft.
That is what it sounds like.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Mel. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Well?
Another fantastic story, Art.
Yeah, I know.
I appreciate you taking my call.
Sure.
I have a friend of mine who also believes in the Hollow Earth story. And I've read 2 scriptures in the Bible, which I won't quote, because I know you don't like to talk about that.
That's right.
But there's one, it talks about making graven images of things.
Yeah.
And that would be even things that are under the earth. And then there's a...
Well, what are you driving at, though?
Well, there are scriptures in the Bible that also allude to a hollow earth.
Oh.
And so there's one in Revelation that talks about they were looking all around to try and find somebody who was worthy to open the scrolls or the seals or something. And even under the earth, no one was found.
All right. Mel, are you a religious person?
I wouldn't categorize myself as a religious person,
So then you don't necessarily feel there's any religious significance to the whole?
Starting to believe that there's some supernatural significance at all, but
the dog part and the other thing about the beam of the blackness, that certainly would lead in that direction. But on the other hand, things that we don't understand, Mel, seem as magic.
Yeah, they do, and that's so those are things that I cannot understand, and so I have to say I don't understand it.
All right, look here. Do you want any help from your representative? In other words, it may be that your state senator or your local representative, congressional representative, would help you out, and we could help you out with that too. In other words, fight power with power. That's an idea from John in Redding, California, and it's not a bad one necessarily.
Well, my local congressperson is Doc Hastings out here, and he is one of those guys that believes in property rights and so forth, and so that would be an avenue. Again, this is an opportunity for me to gain as much information as I'm also disseminating, and I'm going to have to make a decision. When I go in one direction or go in another direction, that will be it. There's not going to be a point where I could take it back.
All right, well, here's another one for you to consider. I've got connections at Strange Universe, Hard Copy, all those kinds of shows. I could have those people in contact with you in 2 seconds flat, Mel. Once you decide which way you want to go, believe me, I can have either media power or a government power representation to help you out here.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to. The main thing I have to do is decide: is this tantalizing enough for me to move forward and say, well, I want to claim this as my own. I want to deal with it on my own basis.
Yeah.
Do I want to get out of it? Do I want to get into trouble? I mean, these are the considerations that I have here.
All right. Here's somebody saying, what about your local sheriff? Now, that is an idea. They're usually pretty friendly guys. Do you have a good local sheriff?
We have a local police department here, and then we have a sheriff's department. But and they're all great. They're all wonderful people. I mean, every last one of them's a great guy. But I don't know. I don't even know how I would approach this here. My property is being illegally used. There's
no question about it. No question about it. And you have the deed, right? You can prove this.
Oh, I can prove it's my property. What I don't know is, how can the government use your property? At what point do they develop an authority to use your property? Let's say a plane crashed there, which is what I was told. Well, then they'd have a right to, salvage the plane, do whatever they're going to do.
All right.
And they would establish a right to it.
All right. Here's Daryl in Rancho Mirage who says, kidding aside, Mel's Hole, if in fact he is sitting on top of an access point to an extraordinary depth, he's also right on top of a whole bunch of trouble. The potential military scientific significance can go as deep as one's imagination allows. One thing is for sure. The government doesn't have this kind of response to retrieve an old refrigerator. I think Mel better get an attorney presto if he doesn't have one already. Remember, if they accuse him of a drug-related violation, they can RICO that property in a flash.
That is exactly what I believe. And again, I have something on the property. I have an old Prowler trailer out there that's been gutted. And it's where I do a lot of the work I do with the plants they have. And, I have solvents there. I have alcohol there. I have drying equipment out there. And, it would take them 30 seconds to make it look like a methamphetamine lab or whatever it is. I mean, it's already my lab. I mean, that's where I do my work.
I hear you. All right. First time caller line. You're on the air with Mel. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Where are you?
Hello, I'm calling from Reno, Nevada.
Reno, okay. Speak up good and loud for us, huh?
Okay. Art, I'm sorry, but I just feel like you've got somebody there that's got quite an imagination.
Well, you're talking to him, so I mean, I've just said the same thing to him. Some of the faxes that I've been receiving are saying that. Obviously, people don't believe.
I just hope that you don't get all wound up in this.
Well, I get wound up in all kinds of things, dear. I'm not going to stop. That's what I do. Don't worry about me.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just...
But, I mean, if you doubt some part of Mel's story, go ahead and say so to Mel. He's here.
Mel, I think that you're looking for some kind of notoriety. for some reason, and I think that you think everybody is pretty gullible that is listening to Art Bell's program, and that you're taking unfair advantage of them.
All right, you've got to remember, dear, I called him.
But didn't he originally fax me?
Yes, he did. He faxed me with information. As a matter of fact, I read the fax at the beginning of the program with Mel tonight, and I read it over the air. So he didn't anticipate that I would call him, didn't ask me to call him, and I had to look up at the top of the fax to get the fax ID to call him. So that's the truth of the matter. I have no way of knowing, of course, whether Mel's weaving us a story or not, except his word, and I can't imagine why he'd lie.
To be honest with you, and since you're from Reno, and if I wanted to be on the air talking about something, I'd much rather talk about my work with Indian herbal remedies. That would be the thing that I would prefer to be talking about. It just so happens that the materials I'm working from are from northern Nevada, from your local Indians out there, and they're the ones that have provided me with the line of research that I'm doing. I have, this whole thing is secondary, but if I had a topic I really wanted to speak about,
it would be
that would be it.
All right, I understand. All right. East of the Rockies, you are on the air with Mel. Hello.
Will, WTDY, Madison, Wisconsin. Hello,
yes,
fellas.
Hi.
Allegedly Zionists, allegedly anti-religion Zionists, with billions of U.S. dollar profits.
What does this have to do with
makers and currency future derivatives markets?
All right. Well, I don't know where he's always going all over the place where it has nothing to do with our topic. First-time caller line. You're on the air with Mel. Hello.
Hi, this is Flo from Vancouver, BC.
Yeah, hi there.
I just think your last caller, the female caller, must have a wild imagination herself. But I have two questions here. Number one, has he called a psychic by any chance? Or looked into that?
That is a thought. I mean,
Look, when after if I decide to basically take the money and run, I still want to know what's down there. I want some mechanism to know. I mean, my original line of inquiry really was, is this the deepest hole around? I mean, that was my original question I put forward, and I think I got an answer to that. But now I'd like to know, what the heck is this thing? So that's where I'm coming from now. And one way or another, I mean, I think I'm at the point where I'm open up. My beliefs are such that if we had a psychic look at it, a remote viewer, whatever, that I would be willing to accept, what they have to say about this. If they looked into it and saw what was at the bottom or what was going on over there, I think at this point I can accept that. Boy, I tell you what, I've had to accept in the last couple of days here. I can accept anything at this point.
All right, thank you.
I know a really good psychic, and I know I'm going to be asking her tomorrow.
All right, thank you, dear.
Can I ask a second question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, what does he think the odds are of someone going ahead and finding out who he is and calling the media and?
Well, we've had his full name on the air for one thing.
Yeah, I noticed.
All right. So, Mel, what do you think the odds are that somebody will... I mean, obviously, as a result of the first broadcast, look what's happened. So the media may descend on you, Mel.
They very well could. And as the guy said at the road here, it says, we already know where you're at. So.
Well, what are you going to do if the media... I mean, suppose tomorrow KOMO or one of the big Seattle broadcasters comes to you and says, look, we got a camera crew. Tell us where the property is. We want to go out and investigate.
I suppose that if they wanted to go there, I would lead them to the access road there and say, here, I'm out of here. You take a look. You talk to these guys here. You find out what's going on. And, and then I'll watch it on the news tonight. But you won't find me anywhere near that,
I hear you. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Mel. Hello.
Yes, sir. This is Skip in Sacramento, KSTE.
Yes.
A couple of things for you, sir. The hole that he is talking about, his 80,000 feet, comes up to 15.15 miles deep.
Sounds right.
The Mohorovicic discontinuity he's talking about came in the International Geophysical Year. I believe that was back in the early 80s, maybe even the 50s. I'm getting so old I don't remember now. It's called IGGY, the International Geophysical Year, where all the world population took part, checking the depth of the shelf underneath the oceans and the molten mass down to the core and so on, how deep it was. There was a discontinuity. It wasn't even. And that's why it's called a discontinuity. It was named after this fellow, Mohorovicic.
Exactly.
Your glue stuff, was developed for surgery, for smashed spleens and kidneys. It made to glue skin better than anything else.
Yeah, well, trust me, it works real well, sir. Thank you very much. It even glues carts into rocks. I don't want to talk about it. First-time caller line, you're on the air with Mel. Hello. Oh, I think we just missed him. Wildcard line, you're on the air with Mel. Good morning.
Hi, Art and Mel.
Hi.
Hello. Aaron calling from Reno.
Yes, sir.
Good. I have a couple of questions and a comment. Mel, I don't know if anybody's asked you yet, but have you ever seen a UFO out around in that area on your property?
No, good question.
Out here, you're liable to see all sorts of things, and I myself have not seen anything personally. I mean, this is one of those areas that can get pretty remote in a hurry. Ellensburg is like 30 miles away on either side from the nearest town.
Matter of fact, Mel, I've got a lot of confirmation of that, faxes and phone calls, people saying it is a very weird area.
Yeah.
And they've heard stories there about holes. So, this is not that far out. A lot of people are saying, yes, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in that area. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Mel.
It's Fred from Sitka.
Sitka, Alaska, all right?
Yeah, and just like to say that, I thought the days of you'll just disappear ended with the Reagan administration. And Art, I'm very disappointed that you will not be coming to Sitka on your Alaska cruise.
Well,
you're going to be missing out there.
We're hitting quite a few cities, sir, but Sitka is not one of them. Sorry about that. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Mel.
This is Paula in Kansas City, and I want to tell Mel that I believe him entirely, and I think the Jerry Spence idea is a great idea, and it's probably a good story for Linda Moulton Howell to go check out.
I've already given it to Linda, as a matter of fact.
Oh, that's great, and I think if he's told over 10 million people on the air that he's been threatened, that they're going to falsely accuse him of having a drug farm out there or something, and he got a really good lawyer like Jerry Spence, they would never be able to follow through on that, especially if he had a bunch of media attention like Strange Universe and stuff out there.
Well, that was another idea. There's a whole bunch of ideas here on the table.
Yeah, I really think he should go for it. And I totally disagree with that lady who thinks he just wants attention.
All right. Well, I appreciate the call. Thank you. I did call Mel, folks. That's the truth. Yeah, he faxed me, but I'm the guy who dug out the number and called him. He didn't really want to go on the air, for the record. Wildcard line, you're on the air.
Finally, I got through. Hello, Art. Hello, Mel. How are you?
Okay.
Mel.
Yes.
Now, with this hole and these people who are on your land, you have to understand they are listening to this radio program right now.
I'm sure.
I'm absolutely certain of it.
And you also have to understand these are military spooks. They are doing whatever they're doing right now. And anything that you do through the standard channels, like getting a lawyer or anything along those lines, is going to serve only as a delay tactic. I would suggest to you that you do some research. If it was a plane crash, there is radar coverage of that area, I'm certain.
Oh yeah.
There would be a record of it somewhere.
Well, unless
if it's an airplane crash, where's the NTSB?
Well, sir, wait a minute. Hold on. Look, I live out here in Nevada, and I can tell you because there's been some experimental planes that have crashed out here. And A, it does not get into the media. B, the military cordons off the entire area, and trust me, you don't get anywhere near it. I know personally that's true.
All you need to do is contact one of the air traffic controllers for the area and find out if there's any record of anything in that area at that time. You can also find out, if it's an air crash, where's the NTSB? If it has anything to do with drugs, where's the DEA or the Drug Task Force for that area, whatever it might be called? If there is anything to do with anything else as far as the geological properties of the area, you can find all this information out from USGS. You can get satellite photos in infrared. You can get anything you want.
Yeah, these are all good ideas. Although I think the plane crash story is an obvious falsehood. It's a lie. And, Mel, again, they told you, look, they could find a drug lab there. So the plane crash story was obviously a cover, and the story about the lab was obviously a threat.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. So, my friend, I don't know what you're going to do now. And I guess you don't know.
I'm going to think about it. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to call the realtor tomorrow for one and ask him. I would prefer not to talk to him, but talk to someone.
I would ask him too. Who is making the offer? They have to tell you who's making the offer.
Sure. Well, you see, this property is not for sale. I mean, I don't have a listing out there. So
well, yeah, but you can make an offer on anything, though.
I suppose you could.
Yeah, you can get a realtor and make an offer, and they will come and give you that offer. So, look, I don't know what else to say or do, Mel.
Well,
if there's any way I can help you, if there's any media contacts or political contacts I can supply you with that will help when you decide what you're going to do, come to me. If there are any significant further developments that you want, or you get some neighbors who want to come on the air, I'll put them on. If you get any drawings, I'll put them up on the website. I'll do whatever I can do to help you, and I feel a little guilty about having solicited you on the air in the first place and causing all this.
Well, look, I'm pretty rattled about this, I have to say, and I'm usually a bit more articulate than I have been, and I apologize for that. This is a really stressful situation.
No, I understand. People are just nasty, Mel. That's all.
No, that's fine, and I generally find that usually the people that are most well-spoken are generally the ones that you really have to watch out for. And
I know.
I think that's always a good thing to bear in mind, and so I got some thinking to do about this, Art, and I appreciate everything that everyone has said. I think overall, I've moved forward in this in terms of, actually being able to resolve this within my mind, and I think for that it was good. Quite honestly, your involvement with this may not, it may be happening now because of your involvement, but it could be happening a year from now without your involvement.
Yeah, and everybody out there ought to consider something like this could happen to anybody.
10 million people, or how many are out there? They know about this.
Mel, we're out of time. Stay in touch, my friend.
I'll keep in touch.
All right, take care. That's Mel and the story of Mel's Hole, and that's the latest. When there's more, you'll hear about it right here. This is CBC. One of the greatest stories ever told was told on this program. How long ago was it? God, I don't even remember now. About a hole in the ground that had no end, or no end that anybody could find. It was the damnedest story you ever heard in your whole life. Anybody remember Mel's Hole? Well, guess who I've got on the line, I think. Mel. Mel, is it you?
It is him.
Mel, I can't believe it, Mel.
Yes, indeed.
Listen, brother, I just spent an hour red-faced, embarrassed, because I thought the Blair Witch Project was real. And I really thought it was real, Mel. I really thought it was real. I mean, I've still got the hook in my mouth here. And so I guess the first question I ought to ask you is, how long ago, Mel, did we do the shows that we did?
Oh, gosh, this must have been about, I'm going to say 97.
97. Well, it was one of the greatest stories, no doubt, ever told. In fact, it spurred all kinds of things. Television crews went up to Ellensburg, Washington.
I know it. I heard many things, and
so I must begin by asking you, before I go forward any further with you tonight at all, Mel, Is Mel's Hole, the story of Mel's Hole, another Blair Witch project?
I will not drop any bombshells on you in regards to this being the Blair Witch Project. This is not the Blair Witch Project.
Real as a hornet.
My life. This is my property. I may end up telling you things that will maybe I haven't seen the Blair Witch Project. So I don't know anything about that, but I will say that I can tell you some pretty scary things.
I know you can. But all right. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out of the way here at the beginning before my face goes.
Oh no, this is not that.
All right. Well, back in '97, I forget. Did I get like a fax from you?
I sent you a fax way back then.
Is that how it began?
And basically, I was just curious about this hole on my property. And I knew with your big audience that somebody might be able to return some information to me. I tried to do a little research on the depth of various holes and so forth, and mines and all of those sort of things. And
all right.
And so I was basically picking your audience's brain is what I was doing at the time.
Well, we were picking yours. It's the damnedest story I ever heard. Let's, radio, you have time. Let's tell, a lot of the audience, would not have been around then and would not have ever heard this story. And I've never heard one like it in my life. So, if you would...
oh, sure. I'll recap...
especially after all these years, it'll be good to see if your story now fits your story then.
Okay, well, sure. Well, basically, this all started. I sent artifacts, and, I had this property. Well, we're going to get into that later on. But
you owned the property at the time, right?
Yeah, it was actually my wife's property. But,
okay, was it empty property ostensibly?
No, we had some outbuildings on there, a couple of trailers. It was really unimproved land, but while I could, I was living there, and it was really I left the property.
Okay, so you lived in a trailer on the property?
Yeah.
Okay, and then there was another trailer or two on the property at the time?
Yeah, there were several outbuildings out there, and I had basically was doing a lot of research in various Indian herbal medicine and so forth. I grew various things there.
I remember that.
And that was my thing. Actually, I used to spend a lot of time going to Nevada, dealing with the various bands of Indians down there, because the herbs that they use are the ones that I've been researching, and we might talk a little bit about that too at some point.
Sure.
Because I think you might find that interesting as well.
All right, now the location of this is near Ellensburg.
It's on the Monastash Ridge, which is a little bit south of Ellensburg, but it's the prominent mountains surrounding the Ellensburg area there. Ellensburg is a little town, basically in the center of Washington State. It's, right off of I-90.
Right.
And it's a very nice little place.
But yeah, I hear you. How long had you been living there?
Oh, we'd been there for several years. And, I'd married this woman in Ellensburg, and we lived there for a while, and then we kind of got broken up.
Well, at the time that you faxed me, you simply said, I don't even remember the facts now, but you said there was a hole on your property.
Yeah.
Into which, I guess for years, people had been dumping stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things I didn't tell you about, one of the things that regularly was dumped in the hole